Welcome back to Voices of Impact, the space where we explore leadership beyond titles, hustle culture, and productivity myths, and into clarity, embodiment, and real human impact. So today's episode is an essential conversation for leaders, nonprofit professionals, and mission-driven organizations navigating strategy, impact, and sustainable growth. So we're diving into a leadership journey that's deeply personal, yet universally instructive, right? Moving out of survival mode and leading authentically from presence and purpose. So I'm honored to welcome Brandee, a first-generation college graduate, a woman of color, and a transformational nonprofit leader, which is amazing. Her career has been defined by resilience, strategic insight, and a commitment to creating lasting impact in under-reserved communities. So she brings a rare combination of lived experiences, operational rigor, and heart-centered leadership, right? So showing us how values, identity, and strategy converge to drive meaningful change, which is very important in this day and age. So in this conversation, we'll explore how Brandee navigated early career challenges, built high-performing teams, cultivated influence without compromising authenticity, and created systems that sustain mission-driven organizations. So we'll also uncover practical lessons for emerging leaders and entrepreneurs stepping into purpose-driven leadership. Brandee, welcome to Voices of Impact. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Amazing. Awesome. Of course. Love doing what I do. So let's get into it. So I know we have a lot to talk about. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Brandee, tell us about your earliest leadership influences. Like, how did being a first-generation college grad and a woman of color shape your values and drive into nonprofit leadership?
Absolutely. So again, thank you. For me, just thinking back through my collegiate journey, especially undergrad, my earliest leadership influences, they didn't come from titles or formal training or people in high positions. They really came from watching the adults around me try to figure things out without a roadmap. As a first generation college graduate, I grew up seeing what it looked like to work hard, but without always having access to language or networks or systems that make hard work easier. I did learn early that leadership is often about navigating spaces kind of that you were never prepared for and still finding a way to bring others with you, right? Because
Right.
a lot of us, they always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And so we want to bring people with us. And the other side of that coin is just being a woman of color. It shaped my leadership before I even knew what leadership was, right? I became observant, adaptable, and then I also became aware of the systems that impact people differently, which really pushed me into nonprofit. I learned how to read the room, how to advocate, and how to make space where there wasn't any. And so those skills weren't taught in a classroom. Those were survival skills that later became and transformed into leadership skills, right?
Right.
And so that nonprofit work, it made sense to me. Being mission driven, I'm really passionate about the community because it sits at the intersection of people.
Right. Amazing. Love this story. And I can
Thank you.
resonate. I feel like I see you and me because I'm also a woman of color and exact same story. We didn't have role models growing up, so we had to go into survival mode. And I can relate even like for the past 6 years. So I totally understand where you're coming from. And kudos to you. It's not easy. Like you said, it's not about what we do or anything. It's really about who we are and who we know, right? It's the networking and the community. And that's why this podcast is so nice. Just like you, I value community. And when you're a values-driven leader, it just makes a huge ripple effect and impact. So I'm so proud of you for doing this. So
Thank you.
kudos.
And thank you for being the curator of Third Spaces. This is a safe space for professionals of color, a safe space for women of color. And so this is a third space that we can count on. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. This means a lot to me. And I know both of us are curating something together. That's why this is a collaboration. So awesome. And so can you walk us through a specific career milestone that taught you the most about accountability? And, we talk about community partnership or even operational excellence.
So back to the accountability,
Yeah.
community partnership, or operational excellence. So one milestone that stands out in my career is my current role at MOCSA, which stands for the Metropolitan Organization Countering Sexual Assault. We are one of the largest rape crisis center here in the United States. And then more specifically, the leaders, like working with the leadership of the vice president of programs. That's who I report to. Working under her leadership really has changed how I understand accountability, partnership, and operational excellence in a very personal way. She holds me accountable, at the highest level, but then she also gives me room for understanding and for growth. She leads with clarity. She leads with consistency. And I can tell that she has a deep commitment to the staff, but also to the community, which is where my work primarily sits as the director of prevention. And this is one of the longest jobs that I've been on as a millennial. Love it. I don't want to call it job hopping. Right. Millennials and Generation Z, we don't play around with, like, if I'm not getting my needs met, I'm leaving. And so for years, I've had to leave for growth. I've been at this job for 4 years. Nice. And I love what I do. This job has taught me the most about community partnership and how to operate in a state of excellence. She balances high expectations, but she also has that genuine support that showed me what it looks like to lead people. So this career milestone of being at a job for 4 years instead of a year and then transitioning has been the milestone for me. Really growing with a team, growing with the culture, continuing to be mission driven and getting that buy-in, and me being bought into it, even my family, has made a difference for me. And that's the biggest milestone, right? Like, I've learned that it's not just about systems and deliverables, right? It's about how leaders can create an environment where people can do their best work. And so I begin to see how that accountability is not pressure, but it is structure. And partnership isn't something you just delegate. It's a shared ownership. So those types of things help me reshape how I lead and I think that those career milestones mean the most for me this current time.
I love this. I think you're an inspiration for so many people out there, especially even corporates who are listening, how I can relate, because when I go into a new job, and I was job hopping, but then I realized it's really because of the culture. It wasn't there, and the leaders, they weren't mission driven. It was all about profit and all of that. And I had to just keep leaving. And I even left one a couple of weeks ago, honestly, because they weren't values led. And I love how you understand that you're actually leading from your values. If you look at a culture where you're seen and heard, and there's actually community and partnership, and that's what creates accountability. Someone is, yes, they're empathetic, but they also hold you accountable to you growing and evolving. I know a lot of people are seeking that now, and that you're an inspiration, that you are very intentional when you choose the next job and the next culture.
Absolutely proud of you for choosing yourself.
Yes. No, thank you. Yeah, I think it's been, it's an evolving journey that I had to get to, and to saying no. So another lesson that I want people to hear is if something doesn't align with your values, just like Brandee did, and finally finding culture that really aligns with us, very important. If it doesn't, just please say no. And the next opportunity will come in the more you say no to something that's misaligned. And okay, going into core values, talking about values driven, because I know that's nonprofit. And I know nowadays, like we talked about, everyone's just profit driven, and now we're purpose driven and more values. So what core values do you prioritize? I know you did talk about community, but when building high performing teams, and why are they critical in this nonprofit sector?
That's such a good question. I kind of sat with this for a while. But the core values that I like to prioritize, especially when building those high-performing teams, are the genuine care and respect for the expertise that each person brings, but then for them just as a person, right? Right now, we're living in different times, right? So it's important for me to let my team know that I truly care about them as people and not just as employees. So I want to get to know the human side of them. I want to know about their life as much as they're comfortable with. I want to celebrate those milestones, things like that. So we're here to believe that my team members are the experts in their roles. That is, I go to them and I ask them the questions, and that's how I make my decisions. My job isn't to micromanage them, but it's just to remove barriers, provide them with the clarity that they need, and then create that environment where they can do their best work, but have fun doing it. Right. So if they have an idea, I do my best to try to make sure that idea is heard and that it's implemented, right? And for me, something like that is critical in the nonprofit sector, because this work, we've been talking about that word passion, but also requires endurance. And so when your people feel trusted, cared for, and they feel empowered, they don't just perform, they can thrive. Right. So we're reducing that burnout that so many of us have.
Right. Exactly. Wow, this is great. I mean, this is such an important message. I just love your energy. I can tell your authenticity just shows and you're
Thank you.
clear. So yeah, valuing passion. And like you said, it's making people feel seen and heard, which is very missing these days. And it's not easy doing like a nonprofit, honestly, because like I said, everyone's profit driven, but really going with their values and like consistently doing that is definitely difficult, but it's needed for others. And it shows that how you've used your experiences and that shaped you. And you're actually embodying that. Because there's one thing to someone people say, like, hey, I'm a leader, but do they really embody that? Are they living that? And you actually are living
Thank you.
proof. So how do you get teams out of survival mentality and into strategic movement?
Ooh, that's such a good question because right now, again, with the climate, we are all if I feel like we're all navigating some sort of crisis, but the most emergent crisis are things happening in states with ice that are dealing with the ice presence, right? But I think from my level, I think the first step is learning how to slow the pace down enough to create clarity, but not just clarity, right? I also want to slow down so that I can create an element of fun
Yeah.
because I want people to enjoy what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And when teams are in survival mode, everything feels urgent and unclear. And so I like to start by helping the team identify like what actually requires immediate attention, right? What's on fire, if anything, and then what can be planned more strategically. And then naming the priorities is going to help reduce that anxiety that some may have, right? So one time I'll just give an example. We had a conversation about burnout and we figured how to mitigate the burnout, how to lessen it for the team. And we came up with a set of core rules that we would follow for each and every one of us. And if one of us broke that one of the rules, we would gently remind each other like,
Right.
hey, you broke a core rule and this isn't what we talked
Right.
about. So just bring it back home. And then we'll create structure, regular check-ins, clear goals, define the expectations, because the one thing that leaders must do, you must define expectations. Otherwise, your people that you need that show up the most are going to be all over the place, and you don't want that. Structure will help your team feel more grounded and less reactive.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I also learned in my journey is that I need to model calm, right? If I'm frantic, my team is going to be frantic with me. And they're like, oh my gosh. And so when I approach a challenge with steadiness and transparency, it's going to give my team the permission to do the same. And so over time, the clarity and the consistency is going to shift the team from reacting to planning, right? And so as a leader, the biggest thing you can do is model calm. Show your team what it looks like to not be burnt out.
Right.
My team would tell me when I first started, my team was like, I need you to model this. You are always here at work. You are never taking care of yourself. So we see you doing that. So this is what we're going to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
really had to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to prioritize my health. I'm going to prioritize healthy eating. I'm going to model this for the team so that we can all band together and create the community for our team that we want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Amazing. Yes. First of all, slowing down to speeding up, right? And that's all about the
Yes.
intentionality. That's
Uh-huh.
what I tell, like, even now, like, I slow down and be like, okay, like you talked about the energy piece. Where am I burnt out? What's energizing? Really doing an audit of that. And similar to prioritization, right? And a lot of
Yeah.
leaders they're like, yes, I will do it, but they don't, right? So just kind of having that reminder. And like you
Uh-huh.
said, if breaking those rules, like, this is what we're supposed to do, and then holding each other accountable. And like you said, it's yes, we're here to have fun and be empathetic, but structure is important. So having that balance is super key, right? So
Absolutely.
I like how you said that, just because like, yes, a lot of people say that, hey, I'm in survival mode. I can't get to where I need to go. I'm not successful.
Uh-huh.
But it's all about embodying that leadership, modeling it, shifting your mindset, shifting your habits. So it's also like an identity sheet over time, right? That gets you there. So absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. You named that perfectly. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. This is amazing. And very important topics that, a lot of people are like, yes, I'm aware, but it's like they always need that reminder. So it's just nice to kind of talk about this again.
Absolutely.
And let's see. I'm trying to see what questions to ask. So, what strategies help teams remain resilient through funding volatility, policy changes, or increased service demand?
This is a good one because funding and things have been kind of all over the place, right? So for me, I think one of the biggest strategies I've seen at work in different organizations is that transparency, right? And so when funding changes or policies shift, it's nice when an agency can communicate early and clearly with the employees about what they know, what we don't know, and what the plan is, right? And one thing that I want to say about where I currently work, they are very good at this. They are always transparent. They are always going to tell you what they're doing. They're just it is there's like no office murmur about it. Like, they're going to take care of it, and I love that. Uncertainty can be harder when people feel like they're left in the dark, right? And so I think one thing that they do great is focusing on reinforcing like what we have that is stable, reinforcing those mission, visions, the values, right? And the impact of the work that we're doing, because that is what it's all about at the end of the day. And so that type of consistency is going to help people feel grounded, even when some of the external factors change, right? And so other things that help is like strong documentation, cross-training on different levels, making sure that we all have shared knowledge, right? And so that the team isn't dependent on like one process or one person. We all need to know what's going on both sides of the track. So my teams that I've worked on, some of them work across state lines. And so it's important that they both know both sides of the team knows what to expect, knows what we're working on, things like that. And so that flexibility will help us adapt without panic, right? So your leaders should know all workings of all departments and all different things to see, to know what's going on, right? And like we've been talking about, the resilience is going to come from the clarity, right? The clarity, that preparation, and reminding people that the funding may fluctuate, but the purpose of our work will never. The mission is going to stay the mission. The values are going to stay the same. So that we need to be focused on the community, and then the funding is going to take care of itself. Just keep turning out these results, keep showing up, keep being authentically you.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my God, that's great. Yes. And anything like, there are going to be so many external factors, like you said, as if the leaders come, like, your team actually models that. So like you said, any external factors, challenges, you go back to your why, and that's the mission, right? And any leader, it's when you're values led, it's like, it's not as challenging when navigating this, and that's what makes it resilient, right? Because I know some people, like businesses, are like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And it's just like so operational. When we look at the bigger picture, that vision, it's like, wait, this is not as bad. We're going to come as a team, as a collective, and communicate this clearly. And like you said, having that clarity and those check-ins each and every time with your team is so great answer. Yeah, I love this.
Thanks.
Okay, so going into, let's see, more into of the fundraising. So how do you measure success beyond dollars raised, right? And I know this is like, we are talking about bigger picture, but what operational metrics signal healthy growth and sustainability?
Okay, so this is a good one, right? So the operation, like outside of operational metrics, but outside of the dollars raised, like what signals healthy growth and sustainability? For me, I really look at I look at relationships first, right? So I really want to build a very good relationship with my donors, right? I want to treat just how you treat people, your relationship in the community, that is going to be pivotal, right? But then I'm looking at like my team stability. How long have the people on my team been here? And how often am I having to hire, right? Program consistency. Are we still doing the same programs, and are people still wanting it? That seems healthy growth, right? And are we getting into new communities? And then remember, I talked about relationships. So your partnership strength, those are key indicators of success beyond the dollars raised, right? How many people are coming back to us and saying, okay, we want to partner again? And then what is the strength of that partner? What are we doing together that's making it so strong and our results good, right? So for me, I feel as if staff they feel supported, the roles are clear, turnover is low, that's going to tell me that the internal environment is healthy, right? If the programs are delivered consistently and with quality, right? So they have training and they're doing refresher trainings, that's going to show operational strength. And then if our community partners, like we talked about briefly, if they continue to want to partner with us, that signals trust and credibility, right? So we want to continue to reinforce that. But then I like to pay attention to like my process metrics. So am I reporting on time? Is the documentation clear? And how quickly can my team adapt to a new initiative or new things without chaos, right? They're going to have a lot of questions, but how quickly can we adapt to this new thing, right? For me, those are operational indicators that are going to show whether or not like we're being sustainable and not just funded, right? Healthy growth can mean that we can continue to work effectively even when the circumstances change. So those are some things that I like to look at, and I'm sure that my boss likes to look at those things too, because it's not just about the funding, right? If you have a good organization and y'all are doing what you say you do, the funding is going to come.
Right. Yeah. I love that mindset shift, right? It's really about your people first, the people, the purpose first, and then the money just follows, right? And most leaders, they kind of follow out. I see this a lot, and I've been in the communities and companies where it's like, let's get the revenue going, let's get the money going, but then no one's really happy. The people are not staying. And that's the thing I've experienced before, but I know in my case, like you said, like whether that's clients or partnerships, how long are they staying with you? And really building that trust, right, is so important first. And that's a huge metric, like you said. Like, how long are they staying for? Are they coming back? Like, is it really the relationships? I love how you said relationships first. So absolutely. This is great. Like, that's what's going to make everything sustainable, right? But this is, yeah. And I know that we usually think a lot of people have this like, oh, nonprofit, it's about like fundraising, or you're getting money, are you going to be successful? But it's really, if you're a mission driven, you will be successful when you come with this mindset. So absolutely. This is great. So yeah, how do you identify and nurture emerging leaders from within communities you serve, particularly those who are first generation professionals?
So this is a good one. It's probably going to be my favorite question, but I'm a huge fan of mentorship. I have mentors and people that I look to and spend time with that help develop me in multiple levels, multiple facets. But then I also pay really keen attention to people who just pique my interest. Like, I will look at you and I'll be watching you from the side. You'll never know until I say something, right? So I pay attention to those who show initiative, who are curious, and who desire to be involved, even if they don't see themselves as leaders. And so when working in communities we serve, especially with first generation professionals, I do look for those who are already doing that informal leadership. So like they're asking the questions, they're helping others, and they show up consistently. So it's those people that show up consistently, right? And then I like to create opportunities for them to step into more visible, or just to work with me, or for me to just take them under, my wing and just say, you know what, we could probably work together, and I have some opportunities that I could pass your way, or things that we can use to develop you to become the leader that you really truly desire to be, right? And that could be through volunteer leadership, internships, or partnership work. But I love a good mentorship session. And so I am very intentional about that. I like to share what I've learned about navigating professional spaces that can feel unfamiliar, and help them build confidence in their own voice and expertise. And so for me, nurturing those emerging leaders, it's about exposure for them, right? It's encouragement and creating safe spaces for them to grow into roles they don't even know that they're ready for it, right?
Yeah.
I had that. And so I want to make sure I give it to somebody else. The people that I was fortunate to meet in undergrad, I still know them. I have their phone numbers. I still talk to my previous professors. Those are relationships that I will never lose. And that is something that is key. But I love mentorship. I have a mentor now, and I absolutely love her. And we spend time together. We talk about things, and we don't just stop with the professional. We talk personal too. And so we do things like, what kind of flowers do you like? How do you arrange them? Those things, because as women, professionals of color, and the first gen professional, you need to know what you do and don't like, and what's going to fill your cup up.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. I love this. Oh, you're such a gem, Brandee. So yeah. And, first of all, mentors, I have my own mentors, right? I learned so much from them, so I can relate. I love mentoring, and kudos to you. And identifying, like you said, it's really about who shows up and consistently, and curiosity, right? That's so important. And that's what I also look for as well. It's some actions over words, because one person can say things, but it's really about who shows up in that way, who asks questions, right? True leaders, it shows in like their actions piece, right? And so I also just created a mentorship hub as well for people. And this is something I'm also passionate about, because like you said, I didn't have a mentor growing up, and then right now I did, and from them. And we both have a similar legacy that we want to pass this down, right? Have a ripple effect. So this is so nice.
Absolutely. I love that you have that. We again, that's that curator of third spaces that you are.
Right. Yeah, this is great. I mean, I think this is really like we're shining a light. We're being ourselves. The authenticity shows when you're talking. It really lights you up. So I'm so happy to see all of this from you. Absolutely. And let's see. Okay, what habits or daily practices have kept you grounded and effective as a senior leader managing many priorities?
So I kind of have things that I need to do to start my day, right? And so one habit that's going to keep me grounded is starting my day with intention before I open an email or I step into meetings. Like even a few quiet minutes to center myself will help me lead from clarity instead of reaction, right? And so one thing that I do is I do this thing with music. I love music. And so on the way to work, I have to choose what I'm going to listen to prior to getting in the car because the way that I get to work, what I listen to, what I see, those things matter and it's going to shape how I work. And so I'm always going to listen to some type of positive, uplifting music before I get in the door because I got to set my mind ready to help serve the community. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm taking my vitamins,
Yeah.
vitamin C,
Yeah.
vitamin D, getting some water. I'm trying not to be on TikTok, trying not to, because I do branding and marketing. So I'm trying not to be on those things, right? So I want to make sure that my mind is clear. But then I also have a mentor who she told us to record kind of how we believe that 2026 is going to go for us. And so I listened to that recording to say, this is what I hope will happen. This is what I'm believing will happen for the year. And so I listened to that as well. And then I blog or I journal really quickly, just a note about how I'm moving. And because I did this, I can let go of what. So I'll do that for the first moments of my day. And then from there, I like to rely on heavily planning. Like I want to map out my priorities, not just for the week, but I have a map out for the year, right? And then I do the day, then the week, right? So I'm not constantly responding to what may feel urgent. That type of structure is going to help me stay focused on what actually matters, right? And then you can also, with that, you can make space for small moments throughout your day of like resetting, stepping away from my desk, going on a walk. Like my job encourages us to do that. Pausing between the meetings, taking a breath before moving to the next task. Those pauses keep me present and they keep me effective. So I used to be in my early moments of my career, I would skip doctor's appointments because I just had to be in the meeting and I just didn't have enough time to take care of myself. I'm done with that.
Right.
That type of behavior led me to strokes and
Wow.
led me to feeling bad. So you have to take care of yourself. Do not skip anything. If something's on fire at work, there are thousands of other people at this job that can take care of it. We only get one of you and we love you and you love you. So
Yes, absolutely. This is great. I love how you're super intentional, right? And likewise here, anything like I just want to put this out there for every listener, whether you're an entrepreneur, consultant or executive, it's not just career, it's all areas of your life, whether that's relationships, personal, family, health. I always say this to every single person, including me and my own mom here, is health is first priority, right? So do not skip your meals, do not skip anything. Like really understand how priceless that is, right? It's not just about money and career. Everything else is more important. So it's so priceless in this day and age. So I love how you're really having those small habits because that's what makes you grow into the leader you want to become, right? After a while. And then that's what you're going to pass down, right? So it's really about those small, even if it's a small step, because I know people are overwhelmed, but it's a small thing. Like, like you said, having your vitamins or drinking like one glass of water or just like maybe even 10-minute exercise if you can't do it if you're too busy. Right. So those small things. Absolutely. And what is one belief about success or money? Because I know this comes up a lot with women of color. I've also been through, I think a lot of us have been through this with money mindset. But what is one belief about success or money you would urge early leaders to release or reframe immediately?
Success or money? Reframe immediately. I used to overwork myself a lot because some of my jobs require that I work 55 hours a week and more. And long term, that's not sustainable. So one belief I will urge early leaders to release is the idea that you being burnt out is the price you pay for success.
Yes.
No, that is not, especially in nonprofit spaces. Like there's often an unspoken belief that struggle is going to equal commitment and that exhaustion is proof that you're doing meaningful work or that you're working hard. That belief is dangerous. Like I mentioned in our previous question, I had a stroke. And when I had a stroke, that was during COVID. I had a stroke. There was so much going on in my life, but I was showing up to work at 4 a.m. and I was working until like 2 p.m. And then if somebody didn't show up for their shift, I was covering that. And that was the expectation that was expected of me. And I'm grateful for the job not even the job. I'm grateful for the assignment that I'm on now. They treat me like a human. If I'm having an issue, they show up for me and they let me know, you do not have to be here right now. You don't have to be here. You need to be taking care of yourself, right? So success should not require sacrificing your health, your boundaries, or your sense of self. Sustainable leadership is going to come from alignment, not from you being depleted, especially when leaders reframe success as impact and well-being. They will continue to build careers and organizations that actually last. So get your non-negotiables in check right now. Don't go into the job thinking that you got to bust yourself and exhaust yourself to show up for a job that you may not have a year, 6 months from now. Give them the best you that you can be. And that's by taking care of yourself. Nothing is on fire that can't be handled by somebody else that's on that team. You're a team for a reason.
Right. Amazing. Yes, yes, absolutely. Know your non-negotiables. That's the first thing, like Brandee said, I would definitely recommend as well, right? Because if you don't know your values and your non-negotiables and you just want to go into like a new role or a job or whatever that is or build a business, it's not going to work, right? And, I just want to put that it may sound a little direct, but that is the truth. We're speaking some truth. So making sure your health is priority for any sustainable leadership, right? So knowing yourself, knowing what you want, what you truly value is key. So absolutely amazing. Awesome. So rapid fire round, just a quick questions. So let's see. A book or resource that changed your leadership approach.
Ooh, I have so many, right? So I was thinking of it because I was looking at the questions and I'm trying to think. Let Them by Mel Robbins. We allow people, employees, family members, they stay in our head rent free. And there was this simple phrase, let them act how they want. Let them, you're letting it go and you're giving up control of the outcome. Let them, and then let you. So get that book because it changed my life and it changed the way I lead. Because now y'all can do what y'all want to do, and then I will do something that is going to either fix the situation and help me navigate. So it reframes your thinking. Let Them by Mel Robbins.
I love it. I love it. Mel Robbins is great. I learned a lot from her.
She's just a gem.
Yeah. Yeah. She's awesome. Like I learned a lot from her and other like personal development coaches. So let them, yes. Releasing the outcome is a lot of people struggle with that, especially women. But when you release it, you know how powerful that is when having like abundance and all of that stuff. That's like a whole different topic. But yeah, absolutely. Amazing. And let's see. If your leadership philosophy were a book title, what would it be?
If my leadership philosophy were a book title, what would it be? It would be Keep Your Love On. That's also a book, but I have went through a couple of things in my personal life that I had to go back and I had to say, at the end of the day, all people deserve love, right? And it will be, there's boundaries, right? But at the end of the day, I love the human that you are. And I have to keep that on for you. So no matter how you treat me, how you feel about the rules or the initiatives or what I've enforced, I need you to know that at the center or at the bottom line of that, there is going to be an I deserve to know that I love who you are as a human. And I'm here to develop you as I'm just one little blip on the journey for you to become your best self, your best leader, that CEO. Because I do believe that my team, I have a bunch of CEOs in the making, and I'm just a blip for them to pass through to get to that road. And so I have to keep my love on so that when they look down the line and say, you know what, I can do the same. Because a lot of times we get mad and frustrated with some employees or it just doesn't go the way we wish it would have. But at the end of the day, I love you as a human being, and we're going to develop you to be the best, the best coordinator, best director, best executive director, CEO that you can be. So that would be my leadership philosophy.
I love this. Oh my goodness. Like I said, you're such a gem. And I love how you said this because I know a lot of leaders out there would want to work with you and love you, right? Because they're just like, yeah, they like me for the title, but they don't like me for me, right? And I think a lot of people go through this, right? And the fact that you said, I just want you to be yourself and I love you for who you are, it's just coming from a place of love, would really resonate. You really make people feel seen and heard. So I know that, like you said, the CEOs in the making, you're an inspiration for them. So keep doing what you're doing. So this is amazing, right? So awesome. I love that book title. I really hope you write something soon and be an author for your next book. I'd love to read it, by the way.
Working on it.
Let's keep going, girl. So I love this. Okay, awesome. And what's next for you? So any new initiatives, programs, or community partnerships you're excited to launch?
What's next for me? This is what I hope is next for me. I have a nonprofit that's let it kind of sit because I'm currently in my doctoral program in educational leadership at Creighton University. And so it's sitting, and I'm hoping to graduate in December 2026 with my doctoral degree. So that's one thing. Then I'm also hoping to really grow my nonprofit. I want to get a board. I have people in mind, so I'm working on that. And leadership programs that I want to do, that I'm looking towards. I want to be in Centurions. Centurions is a group out here where they work with professionally developing those who want to get in like public service or just those who are interested in developing their leadership at a higher level. And so I'm really interested in doing that program. And yeah, graduating. This is the last time. I'm not going back to school for anything else. If I do, it'll be for my own personal business, but I am excited to graduate with my doctoral degree. And so I'm done with the classes. I'm all but dissertation. And so I'm looking forward to do that. And just excited. I've gotten a lot more speaking opportunities. So I'm excited for that. I will be speaking at 𝗿𝗵𝗱𝗍 2026 with the Association of Certified Nonprofit Professionals. So that'll come up this month. But yeah, just excited for life.
Yeah.
So that's what's next.
I'm excited for you. Congrats on everything. The doctoral,
Thank
kudos
you.
to all of this and what you're doing and being such an amazing leader. You're
Thank
forming
you.
a legacy already. You're already a role model. So kudos. And whoever's listening, follow Brandee. She's such an amazing soul, a beautiful soul.
Listen to the podcast where she hosts all of her episodes. I want you to really take in what's being said by each of us who have been fortunate enough to come across Vina and be guest speakers on her podcast. I think it's important that we engage with this good content because we don't know how long we'll be able to get good content like this. And the way that Vina is giving it to us, her price is going to go up. Just a heads up.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, this means a lot to me. It's all of this because of everyone's voice on here. So that's my legacy, to share my voice and help other people own their voice as well. Thank you so much. And this conversation felt both grounding and expansive, so inspirational. I'm learning from you as well. So what stayed with me the most is a reminder that moving out of survival mode is just more than skills or strategy. It has nothing to do with that. It requires presence, purpose, and a commit, right? It's all about commitment. There's one thing to just say it, but committing to yourself and showing up is not easy in this day and age. And leading authentically.
Absolutely.
So for everyone listening, I invite you to reflect on these questions. Where in your career or organization could you step out of survival mode and lead more intentionally from your values, presence, and purpose? And how might you own your voice fully so the legacy you're creating isn't just about the work you do, but the way you show up and the impact you leave behind, right? So something to think about for everyone. So Brandee, thank you so much for your generosity, your insight, and the clarity you bring to this work. Enjoy having you on Voices of Impact. And to our listeners, this season is about new frameworks, deeper conversations, really community and collaboration, right? So leaders who care about integrity, true impact, and sustainable growth. So I'll be sharing more stories and reflections behind the scenes as well as we continue this journey together. If this conversation resonated, feel free to connect with me and Brandee on LinkedIn and stay tuned for what's coming next inside this community. So until next time, remember that leadership isn't just about what you do. Like I said, it's about who you are when you show up, the clarity you bring, the voice you own, and the legacy you live.
Thank you, Vina.